Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Best and Worst of Disneyland. I am Tyler Crouch, and today I'm joined by Luella Loriola.
Hi everyone.
Mary Jo Mulatto-Willie.
Hello.
And Katrina Manzoni.
Hi.
And today we got a good one for you. We are going to be discussing the top 8 worst queues at Disneyland. So you want to tell us a little bit about what maybe makes a good queue?
Okay, so when I look at the queues, what I think are good queues are the ones that have good theming to them, that have shade to them, they could be, that are probably ADA compliant, and that are kind of fast loading. There's some queues that you get on, they're constantly moving, and it's easy. It's an easy ride to the attraction, we'll put it that way. But the list that I have, these queues don't cut it. These queues, they're just...
They miss every checkbox.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, nope. So
we got 8 of them here for you,
Yes.
and we're going to kick it off right now. Let's just get right into it.
Okay, so first thing in the morning when we go to Disneyland and it's rope drop, where do we head?
Go to
Peter
Fantasyland.
Pan.
Peter Pan. And
I was like, wait, what do we do?
Yeah, what do we do?
I didn't tell you guys I was going to test you on this. But you're right. We go to Peter Pan, right?
Yeah.
And what is the number one complaint of any attraction at Disneyland? It's the Peter Pan queue. It takes forever to get through it. It's really boring. It's these chain links that give you about this much space, right? And it's just you're slow moving. It's under the sun. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
There's no shade or anything like that to it.
Yeah.
And
it starts getting hotter as the more you get in there.
yeah.
And I feel like once a year, like every year or something, they add on. Not every year, but like every other year or something, they add on a whole new row to the line. You know what I mean? It's like back in the day, it was like only under the thing, and now it's kind of come out another line, and then it's come out another line. So it's like it just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and
that's a really good point, Tiger, because it also adds to the congestion when you go through Fantasyland.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You have all these people, right? And another thing that part of what I think is a good queue is if they have Fast Pass. There's no Fast Pass. There's no single rider line.
Yeah.
There's just, it's so popular. It is a good attraction, but the line kills you. It's how much time can you really devote to it?
Right.
So this is number 1 on my list.
Yeah.
Peter Pan.
and
That's a
I
good
think that's a
one.
great one, and
Yeah.
I think we should move on to number 2 from
Okay.
there.
So number 2 is pretty close. We're still in Fantasyland, and it's a pretty cool dark ride. It's one of my favorites, but it's Alice in Wonderland. That's right.
Yes.
That
it
one
is long.
And go ahead.
No, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was gonna say it's another one of those small ones. Those chains are so small because they built that before us Americans
Yeah.
started eating all of our food.
They made it for 1940 people during the Depression, and but really it's just you. Again, there's no theming to this queue, and they're very close quarters, and it's get up close and personal with a person. And again, it's a slow loading. It's one vehicle, and it fits 1 to 3 people per vehicle.
And I think mushed right by teacups.
Yes,
That's
like
true.
a
I feel like the
barely
lines
any
got,
space.
just like Peter Pan, bigger and bigger. Like ever
Yeah.
since the refurbishment, it just it just kept adding to the line. And I'm like,
And the thing that makes it so painful is how great that attraction is.
Yeah.
Just like Peter Pan, you're just like, oh, I really want to do that, but I just can't wait in that queue,
and that's true. It makes it a shame because it's such a cool attraction. But when I see the queue like that, I'm like, I'm not going to stand in there.
Yeah.
It's just
try to wait towards the end of the night maybe, and then you could try to ride it, I guess.
Yeah.
If you can hold off that long.
Yeah, you can hold off that long. Or if you go on a rainy day during the week in the monsoon season, no, not monsoon, but when it's really cold and there might not be enough people. But
It takes planning. You just can't wing it.
Right.
yeah.
Okay,
So
so what's number
that's-
3 on the list?
Okay, number 3 was right across the lane in Fantasyland, and it's Storybook Land canal boats.
I'm sensing a theme here in Fantasyland.
I think that's one of the challenges because
Yeah.
Fantasyland doesn't have a lot of real estate. There's not a lot of space.
Right.
And so the lines just have to be really close, switch back under the sun, and Storybook Canal, I think, is the classic under the sun.
Yes.
You're dying.
Yeah.
And,
Dying.
and yes, the boats do carry people, but these are manual loaders, right? With the newer attractions, you have things a little bit more automated, and you go, but these are, you load the people in, you have to balance yourself on the boat, make sure that everything, because you don't want to tip over or anything. Then let's add a parade that goes by.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
right?
true.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, it gets so crazy that they actually have to shut down that ride during parades. They won't even run it when parades are about to happen because that queue is just is too in the way, and they need all the people that are working there. So
yeah, excellent point, which makes it even longer because then people rush there. And if you're sitting there and you're waiting to go on that attraction and a parade's coming, you know, and they're going to cut it and they tell people, sorry, we got to cut it off here, it's really disappointing.
Yeah, it would be a bummer.
Yeah, so that's another really good candidate for worst lines.
All right, number 4 on our list.
So number 4, we're actually moving a little bit away from Fantasyland now.
Here we go.
We're going to head over to Tomorrowland a little bit in the future. And there's this queue that it's changed a little bit over the years, and I don't think it's changed for the better, and that's for the monorail. The monorail, you come down the stairway and you're right along the fence, right? And it's long, and you really can't gauge how long you have to wait for that because it's just this really long line. No covering, you're in the sun, people are passing by. It's a little bit, I think, chaotic.
Yeah.
And if the monorail breaks down,
then what?
You're hosed.
Exactly, yeah.
You just and it happens every now and then. And again, if we're lucky, there might be 3 monorails, but that's really rare.
Yeah.
And if
I'm not sure the last time I've seen that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm hearkening to like really a long time ago, right?
Yeah.
But so I'll change that. If we're lucky, there's 2 monorails.
Yeah, there you go. I think that's
But and sometimes there's just 1 monorail, so you have to wait for it to go that whole circuit. Yeah. So it's not a quick loading attraction either. And you have people who want to use it for transportation, and you have people who just want to ride it.
Yeah, and that's the difference between kind of Walt Disney World and Disneyland is that in Disney World, it is a viable transportation option.
Yes.
You can get places in Disney World with the monorail. In Disneyland, it is more of a fun adventure than
it's an attraction.
Yeah, it's an attraction. Yeah, and I mean it gets you to the Disneyland hotel area, but it's not anything.
People just keep riding it around.
Yeah,
and then we need to use it for transportation, and we can't use it. And then also sometimes they don't even fill it to capacity. Sometimes we've seen it on a really, really busy night where you could see the different sections. I think like 10 people could probably fit in there. Well, not 10, but like let's say like 4 and like 2 kids or something.
Right.
Like we could see it like clearly, and then they won't allow anybody else on. Okay. And that really like hurts the queue like to keep moving it. You know.
You're right. They don't dense pack it.
Yeah.
And if people are manspreading and stuff like that, Anyway, it's not a quick loader, I don't think. And it's just you're standing in this line with nothing really going on around
besides
it. And
the
you're in
submarines,
the sun.
I guess.
Yeah.
You can watch the submarines
You
go
watch the seagulls.
Yeah.
Mine.
Speaking of seagulls.
Oh, what happened? Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah, we're going on to there. We're going to a new transit. That was a great segue, and I screwed it up. Let's do it, Mary Jo.
Okay, so the next one, right along in the same area, is going to be Finding Nemo Submarine Ride, and it does meet the one thing in my criteria about being in a shaded area, but it's just busy and it's crowded over there, and you're just sitting there and doing these switchbacks, and it's.
And I think it can be confusing sometimes because once you're going through this section, then when you get close to the submarines, you're not, where do I go, here, there? It's confusing.
It is confusing. Yeah. And it's in the sun. I mean, it's just like most of it is in the sun. I mean, it gets a little bit of shade, but especially if it's really long, you're like out there in the sun, and there's nothing to look at besides the concrete of Tomorrowland. I mean, and look out over the lagoon a little bit, but
the seagulls.
Yeah.
But there's no real activity that draws your attention to anything, right? And so again, and it's another slow loader because you have 1 submarine that goes at a time. You can only fit. I mean, they look really long, but you really don't fit that many people in these submarines. So that's another one that I really don't think cuts the.
It doesn't. The cream does not go to the top. Anyway, we will go with. I think this is number 6.
I think so.
All right.
But we're sticking in the same land. Right next door to that, we'll stick with the vehicles, and we're going to go with Autopia.
Ooh.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Yes, because that attraction, it's long. You're doing these switchbacks and everything, and it's sunny, and there are some interesting things, but I don't think that they kind of compensate for the smell that you get from the diesel fumes from the cars.
Yeah, they have the little kind of area where you can watch their little pre-shows that they put together. But I actually think they were better when Chevron was the host, and they had the old like cars, the old claymation cars from the commercials.
Right.
A little bit
And
of
those,
entertainment.
and those guys were great, and they've tried to
Yeah.
change it a little bit with Honda, and it's just not quite as entertaining.
Really boring.
And and it's just you can tell that they kind of put that stuff together on the cheap, a little bit.
I think it ruins the queue because then some people just get lost just staring at it because there's nothing else to stare at.
Right.
And then people need to keep moving, and I think that's what kind of like clogs the queue as well.
And it has a fast pass, but I don't think it's one of the best.
No. And that's what slows
Fast
down the
pass.
rest of the line is
Yeah.
because of that
Yeah.
fast pass.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think you hit the nail on the head with the smell of the gasoline. They actually
It's not
pay.
very pleasant.
They actually end up paying cast members a little bit extra that work at that attraction
I
because
didn't even
of the
think
fumes.
about that.
And so,
Yeah.
so imagine working there. I feel
Yeah.
bad for some of the cast members, but when you're up above all the cars that are going by, and it's not like these are passing smog checks on a regular basis, it's not pleasant.
Yeah, I think also, and it's another slow loading ride, right? You have a certain number of cars that are kind of grouped. They fill them up, they take off, and you have to wait for them to do the whole circuit.
Yeah.
It's not like, let's say, the Omnimover in Hawaiian Mansion that's always going, that has a nice quick line. This one, it's
And you
just...
don't even know how many lanes are going to be open that
Right.
day
Yeah.
as well, because it could be only 2 or 3, and then that just makes it worse as well.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that one's another one on my list.
All right, cool.
So-
Let's do the next one here.
Okay, so I have another, there's 2 more.
Cool.
Have another one in the same land, unfortunately, and this is Space Mountain.
Yes.
So Space Mountain, I mean, it's just such a boring queue.
Yeah.
It's on the roof.
Yeah, it's on the. I feel like I'm in an industrial section of Disneyland. Really, when I'm over there, I'm like, I think it feels like a warehouse to me. There's nothing there, and it's very blah.
Yes.
And then again, earlier you had mentioned the fast passers. If you're going standby, that takes forever, and the queue it can be up to 2-hour waits to go on the on Space Mountain.
On the roof.
And
Yeah,
there's
on the
not
roof.
there. You would think for how long that queue's been there, and just being directly on a roof, they would make sure that everybody could get shade. But that's not the case. It's not the case. So
I totally agree. And on the hot days, and you have all these bodies, and you have the heat.
Yeah.
And there's no misters or anything to give any kind of comfort.
And it's just cement, so it's just all this heat is just
Radiating. Yeah.
up at
Yeah.
you, and you just
Yeah, that one
it's
I
not
really
fun.
want to have a fast pass.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's when you need
That's
it.
a good fast pass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the weird thing
Yeah.
too, is they have kind of the interior part that is cool.
Yeah.
Like they
Right.
have kind of the Space Mountain, you start going into the space station and you're like, oh wow, we're going, this is cool. There's this cool purple lights and red lights and stuff, and then the big spaceship in the middle right above the loading platform. But the fact that you're in there for about 3 minutes of the total of the
2
total
hour
wait.
ride.
Yeah.
Yes.
It just doesn't why couldn't I have been in here earlier,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they're doing the fast pass
Yeah.
thing, but I just can't
That's a
stand
tough
there
queue.
on
Yeah.
that roof. Yeah.
It makes for a really long day, and so I really feel for people who don't know about Max Pass and Fast Pass and are
It's
there.
definitely
and
worth it.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's definitely
Really worth it.
But yeah, so that's another. Sorry, just doesn't cut it.
Yeah. So, with that said, we have one more left on
We
this
have-
worst queue list.
So we're gonna go across the park, okay, and we're actually gonna head over to New Orleans Square, and I'm gonna say Pirates.
Yes.
And people might think of that because Pirates is such a cool attraction. It is a kind of a fast loader, and when you're going there around, it's cool. But you guys have been there when it's busy. The queue goes over the bridge. I mean, through
It's a whole
Yeah.
maze. You don't even know how to walk across.
you don't right. It's
If you want to go to the restroom, you
Yeah.
don't even know where to go.
I mean, they built the higher up areas when they built Fantasmic so people could view it, and they
Yeah.
end up using it as Pirates queue a lot
Yeah.
of the time.
Yeah.
it makes it, and so it makes that whole area look even more congested and busy.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, what the heck is going on here? And you're like, it's the queue for Pirates.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. It not only that's a queue that actively gets in the way of the rest of the
Yeah.
park flow. I mean,
And-
and it's not even a small amount. It's like all over.
Yeah.
I think I've seen grown men cry.
I would cry. I've seen it on
Yeah.
like a busy day. Remember the busy day we were walking by? It's like over the bridge, and then also it's like all the way over, like in the French Quarter area where like New Orleans is.
Yeah.
And they like switch it back there, and then they pause, and then they bring people over, and then they keep it. And
Yeah.
when it's there, you just don't even try. Just
Yeah.
go later.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
it'll free up at night, but when it's there, it's like, how long would that be? Like over an hour and a half
Oh no,
wait
that's
or something?
yeah, it's over an hour and a half wait.
In the sun.
Yes. Again, that's such a good point. It's in the sun, and there's
Yeah.
It's
no
there's
relief.
Maybe
It
the
just-
band might come and give you a little pity song for you while you're like waiting. Maybe.
Yeah,
It's
really,
like,
yeah.
I'm so sorry for you guys waiting. And we're gonna do like, was it the pirate band or?
Yeah.
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 So, but other than that, it's all in the sun.
Yeah.
It's-
And then the other kind of slap in the face is when you compare it to the queue at Disney World, because the Disney
Yeah.
World
Oh my
Pirates of
gosh.
the Caribbean queue is
Super
really great.
cool.
You have like cannons and skeletons playing
Yeah.
chess with each other, and you can see into all these different rooms and stuff,
Yeah.
and fountains, and then
And by the way,
we
it's all
have-
shaded. And
Yeah,
it's like,
well,
there's
most
nothing,
of it's
all
inside.
indoors. Yeah.
and it's just
Well, you know
then
that
we think about ours.
I know that's going over to Walt Disney World, but their attraction starts at the queue.
Oh
Right.
yeah. And,
Yeah.
and all of their attractions.
And
are
ours
there,
is
too.
like, if you want to go on this ride, you're going to suffer a little bit.
Yeah.
It's just,
You're gonna earn
it. Yeah, you're going to earn this.
You
ride.
will.
Yeah.
But so let's do a recap real quick.
Okay.
Real quick of the 8 that we have here.
Okay, so remember in Fantasyland we have Peter Pan, Alice in Wonderland, Storybook Land Canal boats are those. We run over to Tomorrowland. We're doing Finding Nemo's Submarine, the Monorail, Anatopia, and Space Mountain. That's like almost all of them in Tomorrowland. Just
Buzz Lightyear's okay. At least you get to
well,
go
that's
see
right.
him.
So we have 2 of them right
Yeah.
over there that are pretty
Star Tours
decent.
is pretty good too.
Yeah, and then we head over to New Orleans for Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
So
There you go. That is our worst 8
yeah.
cues to wait. I'm having a problem saying cue today. I don't know why, but those are the worst cues. The top 8 right there for you. Thank you so much for everybody for joining us. I am really losing my words. Wow. Comment below if you have
Yes.
something you'd like to say. We would like to hear your opinion. Is there a worst cue that we missed? Is there a great cue that you would like to throw in? And tell us your favorite cues too. I'm interested to hear it. Anything you got to say. Thank you guys so much for joining me.
Thank you,
And
Tyler.
thank you all for joining us. And we will be back next week with another episode of Best and Worst of Disneyland. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.